Here are 147 times video games roasted players. In Deep Rock Galactic, you can shine laser pointers to figure out what resource you're looking for. But the funniest part is your squad starts saying it out loud. So when players started pointing at a mushroom for way too long, the game had to step in and tell them to shut up.
Mushroom, 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 mushroom.
Focus, team. Leave the damn mushrooms alone.
Speaking of hilarious narrators, Wheatley from Portal 2 is absolutely iconic. Especially when you get to Chapter 9, the part where he kills you.
Hello, this is the part where I kill you.
You get the message yet? Obviously you don't want that to happen, so every player gets out of there as fast as possible. But that's when he begs you to return.
No, seriously, do come back, please. Come back, please. Okay, look, I've decided I'm not gonna kill you, okay, if you come back.
Again, most people know that only death awaits if they turn around, except what if you did come back to hear him out?
Oh, you came back, I didn't plan this. You don't reach a death trap. Could you just jump into that pit? Could you just jump into that pit for me?
Surely you're not gonna actually jump in the pit, right? I mean, how stupid would you have to be? Even Wheatley knows this and starts roasting you for being adopted.
Guess who's down there? Your parents! You're not adopted after all. It's your natural parents down there in the pit. Should have mentioned it before, but I didn't. So jump on down and reunite with Mummy and Dad.
This is where he goes on an extremely long rant full of reasons for you to jump to your death. He claims there's an escape elevator down there, a designer jumpsuit from France, a handbag, a triple portal device, a yacht, a boyfriend, a boy band, a pony farm. Like he really just wants you to die. I guess if he is so desperate, let's hear him out.
Oh, wow, good. I didn't think that was gonna work.
One of the funniest Easter eggs trolls you by just wasting your time. And high in life, you can discover a dying Moplet who only has one request.
Oh God, I'm fading fast. Please just stay with me while I die. I don't want to be alone. It's my time to go. Oh, thank you for staying with me. And I feel it. Here I go. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh.
Okay, that was pretty sad. I guess it's time to move on.
Hey, where you guys go? You promised me to stay with me until I die. Oh, I feel. Hey, thanks for coming back.
Are you really dying? You sound fine now.
No, I'm actually. Oh, not for real this time though. Oh, here I go. Oh my God. Oh.
Okay, now he's dead. Let's go.
Hey, what the fuck? You left me again. I'm not dead yet, assholes. Oh, come back.
I thought you were already dying.
Oh, whoops. Never mind. I'm really dying now. Now this. Oh, for real. This time is the real one. Oh, this really hurts. Goodbye. Oh.
Are you kidding me? Well, I mean, the guy is dying after all. It's important to be there in his last moments. And now he's gone for good.
I guess it's.
Hey, guess what? I'm still alive. Don't leave me.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
Okay, never mind. I'm dying now. This one is real.
I can't do this. Can you just shoot him, just to be sure?
At this point, your own gut is begging you to just kill this guy. And you realize this game just spent like 5 minutes straight wasting your time. It is one way to absolutely troll players. A lesser known game is Bears in Space, but the reason it's here is because the Easter egg is just so good. Anyone who loaded in and went hunting for secrets would immediately be met with bad news.
I bet you thought there'd be a secret here. Well, you're wrong.
Okay, well, I guess that's it then. But maybe he could tell us about something else.
Unless you're thinking of the old tale of the old secret truth. But that's just a myth as ancient as these waters. Although it was never fully proven that secret truth didn't exist.
He just keeps talking to you, and if you're patient enough to listen, he'll eventually let slip some information about a secret safe.
Come to think of it, I suppose there was that one secret note marked, "My deepest truth," I found years ago. But it was mostly nonsense, so I put it in a safe and forgot about it.
Alright, amazing. Now we can finally track down the safe and discover its secret truth. Oh, it's right here. Let's open it up.
Now get off my property, you time-wasting varmint.
At least that was a small practical joke from the devs, unlike how Fortnite is straight up ending players' games as a prank. You see, for 7 years, they have had no dancing signs around the map that don't do much if you break the rules. That's until 2024 when this one appeared, and players rushed to try it out. Sometimes it even gives XP, but not this time. Over in the Talos Principle 2, players were shocked when they explored a random part of the world and came across a chest. Gotta be something good in here, because the key is nowhere to be found. Well, people who discovered the chest had no idea where the key was, and then players who found the key had no idea what it belonged to. It wasn't until they came together and figured out both locations that this chest could finally be opened, and inside, it's a ton of gold, a reward that's actually worth it. Right? Well, I just realized this is a puzzle game and gold doesn't appear at any other point in the game. So, what's it actually for? Players tried all kinds of things, giving it to the mayor, seeing if it was a collectible, walking across the map, nothing happened. Instead, they quickly realized it was just a simple troll all along. Because the gold is so heavy, it just slows you down for absolutely no reason. The devs were laughing at us the whole time, knowing we'd be forced to put the gold back just to play the game. I guess it serves you right for being greedy. And while it makes no sense for gold to be in the Talos Principle, it will make a lot of sense for a gun to be in Visage. This is a horror game where you're constantly being chased by enemies, so naturally, you'd want to fight back with, I don't know, a shotgun. Well, there's no guns anywhere in Visage, unless you're a professional Easter egg hunter. Then you're in luck. By taking this cross from the wall, you can use it to walk across a previously locked off area. It leads you to this door and your prize. Yeah, you really thought you could just shoot your way out of this game? Nah, you just got trolled hard, and now you have to face your fears like everyone else. A less terrifying game is Another Crab's Treasure, and it's here where players are laughed at for looking at secrets. Pro tip, when you're searching for Easter eggs, always scan every QR code you see. They gotta mean something, right? Well, in this game, you won't just find a secret, the devs wanted you to scan it.
You just got coconut mauled. Share this with all your friends to totally coconut maul them.
I have no idea how people found this one, but in Gears of War 3, you could go up to these pipes and just shoot. It doesn't tell you to do this, but once you've done it to all 4, a chicken appears. Nothing crazy until you get hungry and decide to shoot this little guy.
Oh, what the? Wow.
And what does he do? He shoots fucking flamethrowers at you.
Oh, kill him! Kill him, back to reload
this
now!
Chicken,
oh, you're gonna get fucked up.
I'm not gonna lie, fucking kicks my ass as I'm running and screaming like a little girl. There I go down.
Over in The Witcher 3, these guys decided to roast any players who criticized the game's glitches. Like when Roach, your horse, would completely break out of nowhere. It was a massive bug and players kept laughing at the devs for somehow letting this happen. Well, when April Fools came around the following year, they got their revenge, fooling everyone with an apparent Roach DLC announcement. Except when you watched it,
we recruited bug designers, concept artists, even organized custom mocap sessions.
They basically joked about the mocap and went even further, pretending to announce a DLC where Roach would talk.
Had me worried. You were out way too long. Even considered giving you some white honey. Kinda hard to do with hooves though. Talking with Roach will be available for only $4.99. Pre-order now to get the Roach sticker.
We've all seen rules in video games and done the exact opposite, but boxes falling on your head, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, ouch, pretty mean, but this is nothing compared to Saints Row 4. Thanks to the Christmas DLC, this door appears blocked entirely by candy canes. The only way to get through is by licking and hoping it melts away. But then a progress bar shows it's gonna take way too long. For anyone who sits here and keeps spamming the lick button, after almost 10 minutes, the devs admit, we didn't expect anyone to actually make it this far. You just like the noise, don't you, sicko? So maybe I am, because once the bar finally reaches the end, this happens.
Refreshing. Oh, it's locked.
Speaking of secret doors, Neon White has an area that can only be accessed if you smash through the ground. You have to go down this elevator shaft until the exit reveals itself, but if you somehow miss it and keep digging, you'll rightfully find yourself on Idiot Island. Now sometimes you just want to skip the cutscenes and get on with the game, but if you try that in South Park, they don't take it well.
Oh, you don't want to skip this, dude. This is sweet.
If you continue to do this after the warnings,
will you stop interrupting, please?
Carbon punishes you.
Okay, fine. You can skip cutscenes if you really want to, asshole.
There there's one game that trolls people, it's High on Life. They basically designed this game just to roast players. And so in one of the main quests, you have to do a training program, and this involves waiting in a room for 1 whole hour. Yeah, 60 minutes in real time. You can't just break out of there and continue with the story, but what happens to people who sit here and actually wait? I mean, surely there's gotta be a reward or achievement, right? Well, once 60 minutes pass, Douglas says this.
Okay, good work. You waited an hour. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, here we go. Door opening now. Hello again. If you're seeing this video, it means the door got stuck. So we're sending a guy to fix it. He'll be there in a week or whatever.
There's only a handful of games out there that let you gain weight from eating, but San Andreas does it better than all of them. If you eat an insane amount of food, CJ will get super fat, which sounds like a simple joke until you realize you're locked out of jetpack missions because he's too heavy.
Come back here when you've lost some weight, fatso.
And in Mario & Luigi Dream Team, you can find this fountain full of healing water. Players immediately drank from it to replenish their HP, not expecting to be trolled in return. After drinking, Mario and Luigi fall asleep, and you're taken into a dream state where you have to read a super long monologue, and then as things calm down, it's officially game over. People were shocked and reset their console or shut down the game before it could save, only for it to be a prank. If you had just waited long enough, Mario and Luigi will wake up and be perfectly fine. Now, you'd have to be really dumb to fall for this troll in Modern Warfare. As your squad approaches their target, the wolf, they move furniture to get into the room, and for some reason, there's enough space for you to stand in the way and get crushed to death by a shelf. Well, to rub it in even more, you'll get a patronizing message telling you to use the thumbsticks and dodge the shelf the next time. I mean, that's gotta hurt. But a truly hidden secret is in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. There's a Deadpool level, and if you have to do something, you can just hit pause until you're on this menu for way too long. Then Deadpool himself shows up and he just starts breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, look at the widow baby with the cute widow pause button. Right, go ahead and pause whenever it's convenient for you. What about me? What about my needs?
One of the best developers in the world is Rockstar Games, and they are the best at roasting players. Especially in GTA Online, where they sold new apartments with the High Life DLC. People were excited to try out the new properties, and when they viewed it, the listing said, you can enjoy ocean views far above the fray of tourists and bums. It sounds perfect for a millionaire, right? That's why it costs $500,000, which tons of players immediately spent without hesitation. Well, it looks like Rockstar is teaching you a valuable lesson here. Always do your research before spending money, because as you walk into your new $500K apartment, you can see the ocean, sure, it's just through the alleyway of other buildings. Over in Fortnite, you can dumpster dive to hide from enemies, but only noobs do this. It's pretty rare that someone actually sits in one of these, so more often than not, it's a new player and Fortnite knows it. So do it, and the game rewards you with an achievement, I'm trash. And just when you thought it couldn't get more humiliating, the description pops up calling you just the worst. As you know, High on Life doesn't pull their punches either, so when you go AFK for too long, Kenny has some humiliating questions.
Are you in the bathroom or something and you forgot to pause the... Are you taking a disgusting
And speaking of narrators, the best one is Bruce Campbell in Spider-Man. A ton of people played this game and skipped the tutorial, assuming they would figure it out later. Well, it's only for them to be stuck at the first couple of levels and need help. So that's where Bruce comes in, roasting you for skipping the important parts.
If you press the zip line button, you'll zip in the direction you're crawling. Of course, you'd know this if you played the basic tutorial, but I guess you're just cooler than the rest of us.
So at that point, you're hoping no one saw you get humiliated, but in 50 Cent's Blood on the Sand, everyone knows how bad you are. If you pick easy mode in the game, it's basically impossible to fail. They hold your hand the entire way through. If you somehow die, first of all, you should probably retire from gaming, and second, you'll get the secret achievement, Not Bulletproof. So great, now all your friends know how terrible you are. Now, one of the funniest trolls is from the developers of Splitgate. When their game dropped, every other release was a battle royale, and they felt surrounded. So to prank their fan base, the devs announced Splitgate Battle Royale, and all you had to do to play it was jump in the drop zone. Over in Sonic Unleashed, even the composers know how bad you are. If you finish a level with a terrible grade, Sonic will fall to his hands and knees in agony as the band equally gives up. Sonic has a dedicated fan base, but so does Dark Souls, and players are desperate to find out everything they can about the story. The tiniest of items could be important to the lore, and one of them was this pendant. It had no powers or abilities, but the creator of Dark Souls, Miyazaki, insisted there was a hidden meaning behind the pendant. So people chose it as their starting gift, hoping their patience would be rewarded. Well, that's until they finally revealed its true meaning years later, and it turns out the pendant's hidden power was that it had no power. Anyone who picked it was simply falling for a prank. Metal Gear Solid is a pretty old game by now, but even they knew how weird it is to own a mono TV. I mean, do they even sell these things anymore? Either way, if you played the game with mono sound, the Colonel mocks you for it.
Snake, you're not using a stereo TV?
It can't be. A mono TV?
Snake, don't worry about it. There's more to being a good person than just having a stereo television.
But there's a game called The Dishwasher Vampire Smile, and if that name wasn't strange enough, it gets more ridiculous. It's full of difficult violent monsters, and it's pretty easy to die over and over again, but the game isn't forgiving. If you die enough times, get ready to be demoted to Pretty Princess difficulty. Your enemies can't touch you, and the blood turns into cartoon hearts and glitter. So yeah, you were so bad at the game, it enabled baby mode. So if you're gonna get roasted, make sure a celebrity's doing it, because it gets hilarious. Jurassic Park 2 got its own video game tie-in, and if that wasn't weird enough, it is full of DNA collectibles. If you spend hours hunting down these tokens, then beat the game, your reward is a special video from Jeff Goldblum.
Hello, have you made it through? And all that time? And now you're done, you did it. Now you know what you should do? Turn the thing off, for heaven's sakes, and go outside. Go, really, turn off.
That's not the only time devs have messed with players. In Shenmue 2, there's a mission where you can talk to a barber and he threatens to kill you. At this point of the game, most people are used to QuickTime events, but you should have listened when he said,
"Listen, do not move, no matter what happens."
If you hit the QuickTime event button afterwards, he sends you home and refuses to talk to you. And then you have to come back the next day and start the mission all over again. This time, not moving at all. Well, maybe you should have listened. Back to Metal Gear Solid, there's a secret only a tiny amount of people know about. If you wanted to save in this game, you had to pull out your phone and call Mei Ling. Then she'd give you the option, but you could choose not to save your progress. I mean, weird, right? If you keep calling and not saving, she'll eventually get tired of you.
Come on, Snake, don't call me for no reason.
And to make things worse, great job. Now you're banned from saving and you really messed that one up. There's nothing more satisfying than filling your pockets with loot, and while usually being rich has its perks, in Stalker, it'll be your downfall. After spending all that time, you'll finally make it to the last mission, but the greediest tryhards will be locked out and instead receive a brutal punishment.
That's it? No way, it's not it. I looted everything so much. I was so greedy.
With an open world as big as Breath of the Wild, it is calling out to tryhards who want to complete everything, including the hardest challenge of all, finding 900 Korok seeds. People spent hundreds of hours hunting down every last seed they could find, and some of them devoting 12 hours a day just to be the first. After all this grueling effort, you'd finally claim your reward of...
Hestu's Gift. A gift of friendship given to you by Hestu. It smells like pretty bad, cause it's you just got a giant pile of gold.
Speaking of exploring, Lisa has a ridiculous amount of hidden items to discover. So when a rope presents itself and says very important above, Donkey couldn't resist.
I'm gonna climb up this for the next 30 minutes now.
Now it doesn't take long to realize this rope just keeps going on and on for a super long time. But where most players quit, tryhards are rewarded in the best way. Let me tell you, nothing turns you into a tryhard as fast as speedrunning. And when High on Life released, streamers were desperate to earn their world record, but instead got called out.
Are you trying to speedrun? Are you speedrunning right now? That's okay, you can do that. We think that's cool. We think that's great. Good luck. I hope you get a world record.
Some of the sweatier players took this further by using glitches to get the fastest time. And of course, the devs roasted them.
Okay, you cheated there, and you almost broke the game. We had a deal, you know. You're permanently on the Squanch Games bad person list. We all pee on your name.
For those who remember, Assassin's Creed 2's feathers were a pain to track down, but if you did this 100 times, you would unlock a mysterious item that sounded incredible. The prize for spending days of your life on this treasure hunt? A cape. I mean, yeah, it looked kinda cool, but the devs literally added this just to make things 10 times harder. Now all guards would swarm you, but don't worry because you only have to do this in every city. A collectible with some meaning is in Control, where you complete dozens of puzzles to find these cat statues, but dare to take shortcuts and the devs will catch you. Gathering them all unlocks a secret chamber where you're presented with the cat ears. Pretty adorable, and most would say it's worth the hassle, but what if there was another way? Of course, all the sweaty players started downloading save files, which allowed them to skip everything without putting the work in. But don't worry, they quickly learned not to mess with cats. Pretty common knowledge of Mario that these green pipes take you to another part of the world. But when the Lost levels came out, Nintendo secretly wanted to troll people who are so confident they forgot to read. Those trying to rush through a level would jump into a pipe and just instantly regret it.
What? There's warp zones that take you back levels?
Yep, it sends you back to the start after hours of grinding. I mean, that's gotta hurt. 100%ing a game is difficult, but The Binding of Isaac has players who 3 million percented the game, and I'm not even exaggerating. It took thousands of hours and forced them to complete every possible save file until there was nothing left. The reward? An obese Isaac telling you to stop playing. Now that's not as frustrating as being banned for outsmarting the game. While RPGs always have iconic ways to level up your character, in Fallout New Vegas, one of these traits is luck. Upgrading this actually affects your chances of winning in a casino, which is pretty cool, but this got people thinking, what happens if I use it to my advantage? Yeah, all the tryhards started to max out their luck and rush to a blackjack table so they could abuse it for infinite money. Sounds unfair, but earning too many chips draws unwanted attention, with the floor manager kicking you out.
We can't let you play here anymore.
What?
Sorry, you just win too much.
Oh, man.
Getting banned for winning in a casino defeats the whole point, but so does getting punished for farming cows. In 2015, people discovered this field in The Witcher 3 full of cows. They just kept respawning, and this allowed players to hoard infinite leather, selling it to instantly become rich. The developers weren't happy about this, and so they released an update called the Bovine Defense Force Initiative. Instead of just fixing the spawn, they were determined to punish everyone who farmed these creatures. And so after the update, anyone who tried it will be hunted down by one of the most powerful enemies in the game.
He's not super aggressive, which is cool.
If that makes you feel nervous, Metal Gear Solid calls out all cheaters who thought they were getting away with it. During one scene, you have to survive an electrical machine by button mashing. Miraculously, some players made it look easy, just a little too easy. Probably because they were secretly using a modded controller, and while your friend sitting next to you wouldn't notice, the game sure does, causing Ocelot to say this.
Don't even think about using auto fire, or I'll know.
Dare to ignore the warning, and this happens. And they weren't the only ones getting cheated, because Ni no Kuni punishes you with the dumbest reward. After completing the main story, you have the chance to fight every boss all over again, but at a higher difficulty, promising that all these hours put in will be worth it. A second playthrough is already humiliating enough, but the prize for doing this is a vehicle. I mean, at this point, the game is done, and there's literally nothing left to visit. In World War Z, you're shooting zombies nonstop, so it's easy to miss out on some small details. But if you're the type to search every corner, you'll find a hilarious secret. Over here, you can find this billboard, but getting closer will reveal a tiny QR code, and while you probably hope it's an Easter egg or a free item, it starts playing this. It's safe to say the craziest fans of gaming have to be Dark Souls players. They can beat enemies in the most absurd ways, so when Sekiro launched, the devs wanted to troll anyone who was too good at the game. Usually you're thrown into a boss battle that's meant to kill you, and only hardcore fans are able to beat it first try so they can get all the OP gear. So, when they came across Sekiro's first boss, tryhards knew everything, giving blood, sweat, and tears, throwing whatever loot was to offer, only for him to chop off your arm anyway. Still not as funny as Sly Cooper, which pissed off every tryhard who ever touched it. Thieves in Time offered players a secret ending for reaching 100% completion, and it was pretty special, going as far as teasing the next game. Only problem, it doesn't exist. Now there's something ridiculously impressive about beating a game without dying, and that's why Super Street Fighter 2 trolled anyone who was that good. If you somehow managed to get to the final boss without using a single continue, it wouldn't be the final boss at all. That challenge was clearly too easy for you, so the devs made a secret enemy that would match your difficulty.
Damn, they didn't do any damage. Holy sh**, that did though. Oh my god.
In The Witness, finishing the game is almost seen as a punishment because of how bad the endings are. But there's a secret ending that's basically a slap in the face to tryhards. It's extremely difficult to find, and only the most driven people had the patience for it, but after all that hard work, you're given this.
I don't know if I want to go through his story. I guess I have to. Do I have a blindfold on? Ah, it's actual human hands. They're gonna tell me it's all a dream now? Wait. What the? This straight up was a simulation.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is known for being a tough guys game where you can do some pretty questionable things, but being mean to birds has some very serious consequences. In one of the missions, you'll find yourself constantly slipping on bird poop, which can get pretty annoying, but if you decide to eliminate your new rivals, your in-game girlfriend will dump you.
I had no idea you were that kind of a monster.
And in Resident Evil 4, there's a friendly character named Lewis that gives you health, ammo, and an extra set of hands to help with your zombie problem, except you could also turn him into your your enemy. If you find Lewis annoying, feel free to start putting a couple bullets in him, but unlike pretty much every other NPC, he's not gonna let you get away with it. Try enough times and he'll get so fed up, you'll be the one who gets shot instead. And betraying your teammates in Halo causes similar fate, but somehow it's even worse. If you try to shoot your fellow Marines, nothing really happens, but if you attempt to kill Captain Keyes, the game will quickly teach you a lesson. The second he dies, all of the doors will lock, and an endless army of guards will come to fight you as revenge. They have infinite health, making it impossible to beat, so let's just say being a jerk in this game doesn't exactly pay off. In GTA 5, you can swap between Franklin, Michael, and Trevor, but some players wondered what would happen if they met up and trolled each other, which they quickly regretted. If you find one of them in the open world, you can start stalking and trying to mess with them. It doesn't take long before they get really annoyed and warn you to go away, but continue to harass them further, and they'll knock you out with a punch. And in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, you can find this seemingly adorable pig, but most players don't know about his dark secret. You can come across this little guy in your travels and bring him back to your home base, giving him the name Link the Pig. He grows to a huge size pretty quickly, but if you ever try to turn him into bacon, he will absolutely destroy you. He deals the most damage in a single hit out of all the creatures in the game, which is a fitting punishment for even thinking about hurting the poor little piggy. Now, Dark Souls is already known for being insanely difficult, but being a jerk throughout the game will only make it that much harder. Turns out, if you go on a rampage and kill various NPCs, they won't respawn. You'll never be able to use their services, miss out on all of their quest lines, and even get guilt tripped for it. And while those NPCs didn't exactly defend themselves, don't even think about doing the same in Tomb Raider 2. On one level, you'll find yourself in a temple full of monks, which is refreshing because of the constant action. But if you decide to attack any of them, you'll suddenly find yourself being chased by all of them. Dishonored doesn't allow this kind of thing either, because even though the game is about being an assassin, you could actually be punished for killing too many enemies. There are multiple ways to complete a mission, from sneaking around or taking out everyone who gets in your way. Well, turns out the game is secretly tracking all of your stats, and if it sees you've killed over half the people in the game, you'll get betrayed by your closest friend. At the end of the game, Samuel's waiting for you on a boat to escape, but now he'll turn against you, firing a flare to alert guards. Doing this not only means you've got to fight dozens more to survive, but the game also spawns extra guards just as a punishment. In Spelunky Shrine Master, you can come across shrines that give you loot for sacrificing creatures to Carly, but sometimes it goes horribly wrong. If you decide to be a jerk and destroy a shrine, she'll spawn a ton of spiders to attack you as a punishment, and that's not even the worst of it. Destroying even more shrines will lock you to a ball and chain, which makes it almost impossible to complete the level. Destroying 4 of them spawns the Ghost, which will constantly follow you around and kill you instantly with a single touch. Somehow that's not as terrifying as the supernatural villain called the Sorrow. You'll meet up towards the end of Metal Gear Solid 3 as a boss fight, but during one part, he'll use ghosts to haunt you as you make your way through a river. The bombshell is, all of these ghosts are actually the enemies you've killed throughout the game, so the more people you took out, the more ghosts you'll face. It is a slow and painful punishment as you're forced to drudge through the river, feeling sorry for every soul you pass. In Dynasty Warriors, there's a leader you'll find named Liu Bei, and he's an extremely friendly and caring commander to his army. But if you accidentally or even intentionally kill any of his followers, he'll politely ask you to not hurt them. Ignore his warning. The next time you kill him, he'll get revenge by killing you and your entire army as payment. And that's not nearly as bad as what you could do in Fallout 1 and 2. There were various kids around the game that you could find and interact with, but the devs didn't exactly make them invincible, leading to some pretty terrible situations. If you did the unthinkable, the game would give you a shameful title and call you an evil, evil person. Even bounty hunters will come after you for it. This is frowned upon so much that it was actually changed in future games, but I mean, come on, who would be this much of a jerk? And Star Fox Adventures was another classic game, but it wasn't set in space like the other titles. Instead, it was an adventure platformer, and during one part you meet Tricky the Dinosaur. Character seems innocent on the surface, but can start to become incredibly annoying as you look after him. So not surprising that some players decided to take out their anger on the dino, and soon realized that after too many hits, you would be punished for it. Tricky would only take so much before incinerating you for betraying him. So if the dino wasn't enough to drive you mad, The Sinking City is a game with its own insanity meter. It keeps track of your character's encounters and some of your actions. For example, killing innocent NPCs will increase your madness. When this happens, it causes your screen screen to go completely blurry and shake, but eventually, monsters will start spawning and come after you for attacking the helpless. And in Skyrim, you can make some characters feel even worse. Most players know you can get into a relationship with NPCs in the game, but if it doesn't work out, the outcome isn't great. If you break up with a simple trader, then you'll likely miss out on a few sales, but if it's an important character, then it's a huge problem. Any followers you have can help carry items or be required on certain missions to help you, but if you've upset them with a breakup, they actually won't talk to you anymore. This means it'll be almost impossible to complete quests or even get your most valuable items back. But it turns out Mass Effect 2 will let you upset an entire animal society. You can find space cows on a certain planet who do nothing but peacefully live in the background. Well, if you turn your weapons away from the battle and decide to kill them, the game will roast you for it. Even the entire Galactic Humane Society will send you a message that makes you feel sad for even trying to do it in the first place. And I mean, come on, what do you got against space cows? Well, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon has its own rules too. The Kecleon shop has a variety of items to offer, with some of the display outside actually being stealable, but they won't let you get away with it. If you decide to try and take items, you'll find yourself getting into a fight with the store owners, which might not go too well for you since they're an incredibly high level. And I don't know what some gamers have against animals, but in GTA 5, Franklin's dog Chop has a happiness meter that you can increase over time by taking him on walks, playing with him, and other stuff. But if you decide to kill Chop, he'll eventually respawn in his kennel with his happiness at 0. Try to go meet him again, and he'll bark at you because he's mad, and it serves you right. It doesn't end with GTA because Rockstar keeps the charm going in other games like Bully. It obviously has dozens of ways to get roasted for being a jerk, but antagonizing the teachers has the craziest punishment. If you get caught by the prefects, you'll get detention and have to do chores like mowing the lawn. But it doesn't end here. Keep trolling the teachers, and the lawn will get bigger every single time, until eventually, it stops being fun to play entirely. You Don't Know Jack is a party game that you can play with friends, but if you try and enter swear words as your username, the game will pick it up and the narrator will roast you.
Player one, you think you're real funny, don't you? Me? You. I'm taking away $1,000.
Try to change your name back again, and the game will remember and take away thousands more dollars and even one extra to be sure. You might want to try it a third time just to see how much money the host will take away, but instead, you'll get something completely different.
You're getting a goat. Yeah, that's it. Game over. Here's a goat. Enjoy.
In some video games, you could be a menace and have no consequences, but Metal Gear Rising is not one of them. When you save a hostage in game, you can strip them down to totally embarrass them.
Right! What are you doing?
That'd be the worst day of this dude's life, but you just made it worse, you jerk. So now, next time you go through your contacts, your friends will not be happy.
Raiden, no civilians! What the hell are you thinking?
Raiden? What the hell do you call that?
It was a...
Sick, Raiden. I call it sick. You can save your own damn data.
But one of the most famous missions in gaming history is all gillied up. Anyone who's played COD 4 knows how incredible it is. You're meant to sneak past everyone without being detected, including this innocent dog. The game goes out of its way to tell you to just move along, yet you do have a weapon in your hand, so if you want to be a sicko, it's up to you. Just know justice will be served.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Sometimes players can be jerks in multiplayer games, and it's almost always because they're cheating. While most games will just ban hackers, Valve's new game Deadlock will humiliate them first and let other players join in. When it detects a cheater, it'll give everyone else a choice. Do we ban this guy immediately or frog them first? As for Deadpool, no one, and I mean nobody, is playing this game because they like stealth. So, when they force you to be silent, players would rather ignore the game and just keep slicing through enemies. Yet even Deadpool points out you're being a jerk.
Okay, now this is getting silly.
All right, enough. That's it. Let's just skip on ahead, shall we?
Are you serious right now, bro?
If there is one game you could absolutely be a jerk, it's Skyrim. This has been giving players unlimited freedom for over a decade now, with some limitations, like when you go to Riverwood and punch a chicken.
Uh-oh. People.
Help me! Help me!
Was that chicken mayor or something? In most games, you could get away with trashing the environment because at the end of the day, it is a video game after all. Who cares? Well, in Deep Rock Galactic, turns out those barrels you're kicking are company property. Not only are you a jerk, you're a terrible employee, and your boss will roast you for it.
Barrels are to be left alone and not hurled, kicked, tossed, or in any way moved around. Fair warning, any vandalizing or destruction of company property will be deducted from your pay at the end of the month. Please don't kick the barrels into the launch bay. Stop it, now!
Now the funniest part is when you kick them all into the launch tube, giving you an achievement that claims you are the reason Mission Control drinks. Ouch. As for Banjo-Kazooie, there's a situation we've all found ourselves in. You get a little too confident, skip the tutorial, only to realize you kinda needed it. So, when you skip Bottle's training, he'll vanish, leaving you on your own. Except when you try to bring the tutorial back up, he won't be of any help. He tells you to leave him alone, stop calling him, and then gives you a final warning. Of course he's just bluffing, but it's a clever way to get players to finally leave him alone. Now, developers put a lot of time into level design, secretly guiding players exactly where they need to be. But some fans just straight up don't care, going out of their way to search for Easter eggs. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. So in Superhot, if you break the rules and glitch out of the level, the game has one question for you.
Are you serious?
Not the only time a game broke the fourth wall to roast you. In Icy, the narrator makes it pretty clear what you have to do.
There seems to be a console that will activate the photon bridge. Icy moves to activate it.
Well, what if you just ignore him?
For some unknown reason, Icy insisted on jumping into the ravine. Using the bridge, she will certainly have no need to jump into the ravine again. What? You jumped again? You have zero common sense. Are you messing with me? Don't you know this is an action game? Your main goal is to go kill monsters. Don't you get that? I can't be your guide if you won't listen. You get that, right?
Let's be honest, we all know you could be a way bigger dirtbag in games, like, I don't know, committing friendly fire. In Call of Duty, you'll just fail the mission if you blast up a teammate. But in America's Army 3, they take your punishment straight to court. Very deserved. And so is the roasted Friday the 13th. The whole point of this game is to escape Jason by any means necessary, and it usually requires you getting help from other survivors. They could be the reason you get that extra car part or fuel, except if you're a total jerk, you could hop in the vehicle and leave them behind. Even the game will tell you it was a dick move. Now, The Witcher 3 is considered one of the best open world games ever made, and you might not realize why until you know the insane details they added, like the fact you could commit tax fraud. Players find ways to exploit money in all kinds of games, but once Geralt does it, there's a chance you'll get a visit from the tax collector.
Halt! You there? Please wait! You're Geralt of Rivia, are you not?
What seems to be the problem?
In brief, undeclared income. We've had reports, numerous, that over the last months you've come into a great deal of coin.
What's this?
A summons to pay back taxes.
But I've never paid any taxes, not one copper.
Precisely, yet you've had the obligation always.
Paper pushers.
A lesser appreciated game is Bad Boys Miami Takedown. I know it's a movie tie-in game, but everyone should play this just for the chance to hear amazing roasts. For example, when you open fire on Martin Lawrence's character for whatever reason.
Hey, screw you, man. Damn crazy-ass piece of crap. You keep shooting me there, how am I supposed to hear my wife moan? As if you ever made a lady moan. You kidding me? Hard to make her stop.
Hilarious jokes aside, he will not go down without a fight. Sometimes you'll get roasted for being a jerk by the developers personally, like in Guild Wars when the devs caught a cheater on the server. So they logged into his account, started recording, stripped him naked, and then... Then they did this. Now that is humiliating. In Tales of Destiny, players found a mind-blowing trick to grind levels just by running in circles and auto-fighting enemies. The devs weren't so happy about this, and in the director's cut, they found a way to troll players. Anyone who was AFK farming would now come face to face with an unbeatable boss that would destroy their whole party. I think I agree some dirtbag moves need to be broadcasted to the world, like in Far Cry Primal. If you're some kind of sicko and decide to tame an animal before hunting and skinning it, not only are you a future serial killer in the making, you'll be branded with the tears of shame. Good, now all your friends know what kind of monster you are. I just hope your next game isn't Shadow Warrior, because there's more animals running around, including some rabbits which are having fun. It's nature, okay? Leave them alone. If you do decide to disturb them, they won't appreciate it. Metal Gear Solid is famous for stealth always being a priority, except if you suck at it, you'll get roasted. If you keep failing at sneaking around, the game will pop up a menu that asks if you want to equip the chicken hat. If you wear it, enemies won't spot you even when you're standing right in front of them, which makes the game ridiculously easy, sure, but you also have to run around as a chicken. It's not as direct as God of War's secret achievement, because in the original PS3 version, it's totally normal to die over and over. But if you find yourself losing like 10 times in a row, the game decides to step in and ask if you want to change the difficulty. Doesn't matter if you choose yes or no, because at this point, the game has already handed you this trophy. Another classic, Crash Bandicoot Warped, was pretty popular back in the day, and that's why a lot of people were excited to see it included in the Trilogy remake. But when it comes to the boss battle against Tiny Tiger, there was an incredible change. For those who are too lazy or not skilled enough to beat it, there was an easy way out. You could sit in the corner and be completely invincible against the lions. If you were still this bad at the game decades later, you probably tried the same trick in the remake, and well, surprisingly, it still works, but now the audience doesn't approve and will throw cheese at you. In 2010, Prinny 2 was released on PSP, and if you don't know, this is a humble side-scroller franchise known for being insanely difficult. Even though the first Prinny game was a success, a lot of players pointed out that it was way too hard. It was the #1 complaint, but instead of taking the feedback on board, the developers decided to troll everyone. With the release of Prinny 2, they included a brand new difficulty called Baby Mode, and the description says, "This is for all you diaper-wearing noobs, dude." I mean, sure, it made the game actually playable, but it wasn't gonna let you off easily, because your healing items are changed to diapers and you get 3 hits before dying. For areas where you could fall, they added these big pink baby blocks that help you get across too. And Earthworm Jim decided to punish players who were bad at the game in a super messed up way. If you decide to play on easy, you better be prepared for a slap to the face, because after spending hours fighting enemies and working your way through Earthworm Jim's levels, you finally reach the end of the story. But once the credits start to roll, you'll realize they aren't credits at all. You might have expected an ending, but instead you are treated to 5 minutes of non-stop facts about worms. I'm serious, this goes on for 5 minutes, and people who played on a higher difficulty never saw this. The trolling only gets worse from here, because Ninja Gaiden is an iconic series that's famous for how difficult it is. Before the days of Dark Souls, this was the king of tough games. It never had an easy mode until Ninja Gaiden Black came along. This was a reboot, and the devs were asked to make a difficulty that would cater to new players. Well, instead of making the game easier, they created Ninja Dog Mode. I mean, sure, it helped you defeat enemies with more tools, but you were humiliated for it. The most embarrassing part of choosing the Ninja Dog Mode was by far this purple bow. Your character is supposed to be serious and tough, and seeing him with a bow on his arm, I mean, it stings a little, not gonna lie. One of the characters even straight up roasts you for being bad at the game.
Master Liu, it seems I have greatly overestimated you.
And I don't think anyone expected to be made fun of by their own character. In Styx Shards of Darkness, you of course play as Styx, although it turns out that he actually breaks the 4th wall if you suck at the game. When you die, there's a chance that Styx appears and absolutely shreds you.
You realize using the controller with your feet's not gonna gain you an achievement, right? Listen, there's no need to be ashamed. I'm not gonna tell anyone if you put the level of difficulty down.
And not every game straight up insults you, sometimes the punishment is 10 times worse. In Bully, there are plenty of ways to get a game over, but getting busted by a prefect, that takes skill. You had to be pretty bad at the game to be caught by these guys. But once you get busted, you are sent to detention and forced to do chores like mowing a lawn. It's already pretty bad, but if you somehow get caught over and over again, the lawn would get bigger, and honestly, I'd rather be laughed at than forced to do this. Actually, I take that back, because in 2007, this indie game was just one big middle finger to anyone who played it. It's called I Wanna Be the Guy, and was super difficult to play through. Despite all the trolling, people were still determined to get through it, so they tried out easy mode, except when you did this, the game would just instantly kill you. As for medium difficulty, you weren't murdered, but humiliated. It gave you more checkpoints around the map, but instead of saving, it was changed to wuss. Your character's hair was also given a pink bow, kind of like Ninja Gaiden, which makes sense because there was actually a Gaiden version of this game with even more hilarious ways to troll you. The worst part is, if you selected easy mode in this version, you would just be redirected straight to the Barbie website. And the trolls got even more elaborate in Twisted Metal 2. For those who are new to the series, the developers offered a friendly looking mode. I mean, how thoughtful of them. You're able to learn how to play, and then we're taken to the game's very first boss, Minion. But there was one problem. Instead of beating him and moving on, the game suddenly showed a stop sign and said, "No losers allowed beyond this point." A punishment that was probably more deserving could be found in Fable. Instead of just roasting you for picking a difficulty, this was an elaborate prank that targeted the laziest players in the game. At one point in Fable, you were given a challenge named Hidden Booty Hunt, and it would take you on a long quest full of clues, puzzles, and mystery. It all led to an actual piece of treasure, which was this frying pan, and it turned out to be a super powerful weapon that could be upgraded with augments. Except, if you were lazy and just decided to Google where the treasure was, expect to receive a fitting prize. Picking up this frying pan without the clues makes it absolutely useless, as it deals 0 damage and can't be upgraded. Meanwhile, in games like Streets of Rage 3, being bad at the game actually got you banned from finishing the story. If you selected a lower difficulty, you could still play through the game fairly normally. This mode would make Streets of Rage easy to play, so because of this, it's no surprise that when you got to the end, there was a message waiting for you. An enemy would taunt you for playing the game like a beginner, and then the 2 final stages of the story would be locked off. You literally had to replay the entire campaign again just to see how it ends. One of the most famous roasts in video game history belongs to the Batman Arkham series. In every single game, you're usually facing tons of supervillains at the same time, and depending on where you die, you are forced to sit there and watch as your enemies look over your body and straight up laugh at you for dying.
Riddle me this. What's dead? You! Who's gonna fight crime now? Robin?
Now, there is one game on this list that always takes everything way further than it has to, Postal 2. Turns out on easy mode, we're not even allowed to save our games anymore without being straight up roasted.
My grandmother could beat the game if she saved as much as you do.
This is nothing compared to Postal's long history of trolling people. Pretty controversial game, not to mention super graphic, and that is why an attorney named Joe Lieberman included it in his argument for why violent video games should be banned. In response, the devs added a special difficulty to Postal 2 called Lieber Mode. It's the easiest mode of the game because it gives every single enemy a taser rather than a gun. And this next game is an honorable mention that I just had to include. The Bard's Tale doesn't roast you for sucking at the game, it just insults you for literally no reason. For most players who bought the game physically, they could find secret text that said, "For a disturbing image, flip this disc over." And of course, looking on the other side, you just see a reflection. Throughout the Call of Duty games, you've always had to fire at other soldiers, except that one mission. So in games like Modern Warfare 2019, the developers thought you'd have learned your lesson by now. If you shoot a friendly target, instead of a classic mission failed screen, they straight up say, "Are you serious?" Because come on, you know better than that. It gets even more humiliating in Demolition Man. This was a game based on a movie, but I don't think anyone expected Sylvester Stallone to appear out of nowhere and absolutely roast you.
Hey, Puke Skywalker, use the Force. Come on, is this the best you can do?
But one of the most frustrating and famous characters in all of gaming is known for mocking you during a boss battle. In Undertale, the hardest fight in the game belongs to Sans, and let me tell you, it's unfair how tough he is. Of course, the developer Toby Fox knew that this would be an iconic battle and decided to taunt players even further. Every time that you die to Sans, he will remember exactly how many times you fought him and mock you for being bad at the game. After dying 10 times in a row, he'll offer you to invite your friends over to celebrate and then point out that your character, well, doesn't have any friends. Eventually, he even loses count of how many times you die and asks you to count for him. It is one of the many reasons that this is the most famous boss battle of the last 20 years. All right, now I'm gonna tap in Sammy because I just can't get roasted anymore.
While you're playing through The Witcher 3, the game will force you to make numerous decisions to get one of 36 possible endings. But make the wrong choices and the devs will troll you. In your spare time when you're tired of hunting monsters, you'll come across the 2 main love interests, Yennefer and Triss. Now you can romance both of them, but anyone who thinks they can get away with dating 2 people at once will be taught an embarrassing lesson. The girls will make it seem like they want to fulfill your wildest fantasy, but right when it gets interesting, their true plans revealed, leaving you half naked begging for help. And in High on Life, the devs also prank you in the most hilarious way. Over in Blim City, you can find an NPC that'll ask you to watch over his bike. Now, it seems like a pretty straightforward side quest, but make sure you don't take your eyes off it. If you look away for even a split second, the bike will vanish and the guy will instantly come back to roast you.
Where's my bike? I asked you to watch my bike and you just let someone take it? Where'd it go? F you!
And over in Saints Row 4, the developers straight up punish you for being a good person. After playing through the entire campaign, the final mission presents you with a choice. You can either rescue your friend Matt, or choose to save humanity by sacrificing yourself. Now, you'd think saving mankind would give you that satisfying ending you're hoping for, but instead you get a game over screen and an achievement that says you chose poorly. But that doesn't mean you should start being selfish. At the end of Dead Rising 3, you have to meet up with your friends so you can all hop on a plane and escape the Horde. But if you decide to take the plane for yourself, it gives you an option called Screw Everyone Time to Leave. Except this doesn't really go the way you intended. Your friends will just straight up punch you in the face and then fly away without a second thought. And over in Detroit Become Human, there's a new Easter egg every time you boot up the game. The main menu lets you talk to an android named Chloe, and while most of the things she says are pretty harmless, don't let your guard down. There's a small chance that you can open up the menu and be given the worst news imaginable.
Oops, I think your saved game is corrupted. Just kidding.
But one of my favorite trolls is with Borderlands 2's Bane gun. At first you think, wow, this has got to be the most overpowered thing in the game. Except every time you fire, it makes the most annoying sound of all time. But no worries, you could just turn down the volume, right? Well, it turns out that you can mute every single volume slider and it won't affect the gun at all. And in Far Cry 6, the developers went way too far because the game trolls you in real life. If you start playing and decide to take a break or just aren't feeling it, a few days later a message from Anton Castillo, the villain of the game, will appear in your email. He'll actually thank you for leaving him alone and giving him free reign of the country, while also revealing your embarrassing kill count and playtime. This is a super funny way to get players back into the game, but at the same time, I'm a little creeped out that he has my email. But one of the most frustrating trolls can be found exactly where you'd expect. In Grand Theft Auto 5, you can come across the optional submarine mission where you're tasked at collecting 30 pieces of evidence from around the map. Like, these are literally so hard to find, it takes forever even with a guide. So as a reward for hours of dedication, you're given the biggest slap in the face ever as Rockstar hands you a measly $10. But you'll feel even more betrayed in God of War Ragnarok when Thor challenges Kratos. The battle is devastating as you try to hold back the power of Thor, but just when you start to get the advantage, he suddenly becomes 10 times more powerful, killing you instantly. Or so the devs would make you think.
Oh no. I say when we're done. I'm not leaving till I see the real.
But it's still not as clever as Diablo 3's secret mission that gives a huge middle finger to critics. When the game first came out, Blizzard was swarmed with complaints about the art style, with some diehard fans calling it cartoony. So instead of ignoring them, the devs decided to show just how cartoony they could really be. In this secret level, everything is childlike with unicorns and rainbows, and players quickly realized that this art style could have been so much worse. But if there's anyone who can live up to this level of trolling, it's Metal Gear Solid. Towards the end of the second game, it'll suddenly start bugging out and a fake game over screen will appear. Your character's still moving around in the top left corner, but it's in a tiny box, and the only way to tell that this whole thing isn't real is the big fission mailed text on screen. But as soon as you breathe that sigh of relief about your game being safe, the torture doesn't end. Right when you're about to finish the story, you'll get a random call from your colonel saying this.
Right. Turn the game console off right now.
Now, he sounded so serious that it actually led to a ton of players panicking and shutting off their consoles. And that's not even the only time a developer has made us feel like we're losing our mind. In Eternal Darkness, when you come across enemies, your sanity meter will slowly deplete. But these guys take this mechanic way further than you could ever imagine. As you become more insane, the game will begin to mess with your mind. Having things like bugs crawl across the screen, pretending to disconnect your controller, and even fake deleting your entire save file. And they're not the only devs to completely troll players. When Devil May Cry was rebooted in 2013, fans were furious over Dante's haircut, which had been changed entirely. So in response to the backlash, Ninja Theory added this hilarious scene that shows everyone just how ridiculous the original hairstyle was.
Not in a million years.
But at least there you know you're being trolled, unlike Batman Arkham Asylum, where thousands of people were tricked by the devs. After spending hours progressing through the story, you'll come face to face with Scarecrow. But just as you prepare to fight him, things get super weird. Before you enter the room, the game freezes and then glitches out. Now you might think that it just crashed, but after restarting, a cutscene plays and it seems way too familiar. And that's because it's the start of the game and all that progress that you've made has now been wiped out. That's until the mission starts to change and suddenly Batman's a prisoner, which just reveals this whole prank was a hallucination. At least they're just joking around with the player, unlike the most elaborate prank in Pokemon history. Everyone loves Gengar, and if you want him, you usually have to evolve a Haunter to do so. Except there's one problem. Haunters have to be traded with someone in order to evolve. Now this really isn't an issue except for in Diamond and Pearl, where the devs trolled millions of players who are still holding a grudge to this day. There's this NPC called Mindy who will offer to trade Haunter. This sounds like an amazing deal until you realize the one she gives you is holding an Everstone, which stops Pokemon from evolving. She then laughs at you saying, "Did my Haunter turn into something else? Just kidding." What a jerk. And if you decide to play a way out, prepare for your friendships to fall apart thanks to a devastating twist. The whole point of the game is to work together and figure out the best way to escape prison. After bonding for countless hours, it's easy to think that you're gonna get that happy ending, until the developers decide to flip everything on its head. Suddenly you're forced to fight each other because only one of you can be left standing. Depending on who wins, there'll be a different ending where you pay respects to your friend that you just straight up murdered. This has gotta be one of my favorite trolls out there. And it's not the only game with a huge plot twist. In Assassin's Creed 3, you start the game as Haytham Kenway, a charming British assassin who makes his way to America. Despite spending dozens of hours with him, you would never predict what happens next. Midway through the game, he's revealed to be a Templar, the people you're supposed to be fighting. While you sit at the screen shocked at what just happened, the developers drop the message saying, "How'd you like them apples?" Still not as surprising as Mario Kart's sudden change that shocked the world. When playing Peach Gardens, it feels like a completely normal game until you hit the final lap. And I gotta say, this one totally caught me off guard. Out of nowhere, you start to drive in the other direction, racing into oncoming traffic. You could work so hard to get into first place, only to crash into someone at the very last second. And if that didn't make you rage quit, then this hilarious prank in Goat Simulator will finish the job. Throughout the third game, there's a ton of billboards promoting various movies, fake companies, and musicals. And just when you think you've spotted a poster for Fast and the Furious, instead you've got Von Dossel promoting Alt F4. Obviously, if you press those buttons, well, just don't press them.
And it's not just games roasting players. Sometimes even developers take shots at other studios.
The Witcher is one of the most famous franchises of all time, and that's why it's the last place you'd expect to find an Easter egg making fun of another game. In the prologue, you can find a dead body next to a pile of hay who clearly thought it'd save him from the fall. Now this seems innocent until you realize that it's literally Altair from Assassin's Creed. A hilarious jab pointing out that falling 200 feet onto some hay is one of the dumbest features in gaming.
Guess they'll never learn.
And Duke Nukem Forever is 11 years old, but some of the jokes are still timeless. As you walk out of the hotel, you're shown an armory by a soldier, and on top of the shelf is Master Chief's suit. But let's just say Duke isn't really impressed.
Our armor is for pussy.
But if there's one game out there that roasts everyone, it's gotta be Goat Simulator 3. At one point, you can enter an abandoned house to find this creepy corridor. It's completely silent, and you'll quickly find that it's impossible to leave because the halls are repeating themselves. By now, fans of PT will have realized that this is taking shots at the original game, and they even replaced Lisa with a grandma. The horror quickly goes away though as you look into the bathroom. This time, there's no crying baby, but instead, some dude who ate way too much Taco Bell. Now, Hitman may be a game all about assassination, but I don't think anyone was expecting Agent 47 to give a middle finger to Nintendo. While playing the Italy mission, you can head into the sewers and find a plumber dressed in a familiar outfit. He's walking around with a striped red hat, and once you take him out, you'll realize his name is actually Mario. If you're still not convinced that this is a roast, you can find his brother over at the mansion, and when you kill him, his name's of course Luigi. While Just Cause 4 came out in 2018, the devs secretly added Easter eggs with DLC, and one of those appeared 2 years later inside of a hidden cave. Now you have to parachute all the way down into it, and there's not much here except a single snowman. But by looking at his red and black outfit and dual revolvers, fans of Red Dead will instantly recognize this as Dutch Vanderlyn. And to point out his greatest flaw, there's a sign reading, "I have a plan," which the man himself is notorious for saying.
I got a plan. I got a plan, John. I had the goddamn plan!
And when it comes to Fall Guys, it is so innocent that you wouldn't think they get roasted by another game. But when you load up Ghost Runner, you can spot this little guy floating in the corner of the sewer. It looks like he wasn't good enough at wall running and fell to his death, but I have no idea why the devs gave him such a weird face. A less disturbing secret is hiding in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which already parodies every game genre in existence. To add to the chaos, there's a chance you'll find a mysterious vagabond with white hair. But his name isn't exactly a secret because he literally never stops talking about himself.
I am Garrett of Trivia, hunter of monsters, slayer of demons, kisser of witches.
Every time you talk to him, he'll keep bringing up how he's known all across the land, obviously poking fun at Geralt from The Witcher. Now, it is a Borderlands spin-off, so you could expect it, but even the main games are notorious for roasting others. Like in Borderlands 2, where one of the enemies is called Mr. Bubbles, but he's actually just a Wish.com version of a Big Daddy from BioShock. But if there is one thing Skyrim is known for, it's gotta be this.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
And the developers of Doom thought this line was so ridiculous that they joked about it in the 2016 reboot. Hiding inside one of the caves, you'll find Dovahkiin's decomposed body with, of course, an arrow to the knee. And if you know about classic secrets, you'll remember how Psycho Mantis could read your mind in the OG Metal Gear Solid. It was one of the creepiest things back in the day and left a huge impression on players. So much so that 25 years later, the devs poked fun of it in High on Life.
Let's see how many hours you logged in Fortnite or Minecraft. Do you play those games? Trying to do a sort of Psycho Mantis thing.
But there is no bigger rivalry in gaming than Call of Duty versus Battlefield. These guys have literally been at it for decades, and along the way, there have been some great roasts at each other's expense. My favorite's gotta be in Bad Company 2, where the characters roast the Spec Op agents from Modern Warfare.
No. He'll just send some special ops bags with heartbeat monitors on their guns instead of us.
You might also remember the infamous snowmobile race, but it looks like Battlefield wasn't the biggest fan.
Snowmobiles are for sissies.
But Modern Warfare 2 was so iconic that it's still being referenced to this day. And that's especially true when it comes to its most controversial mission that got the game banned in multiple countries. In Midnight Fight Express, you can actually relive the No Russian mission, but not in the way you think. Instead of playing as the terrorist, you'll instead enter the elevator and do this. Bringing it back to Hitman, it's not just Mario and Luigi making a secret appearance. There's also the Plague Doctor from Assassin's Creed, but I'm not so sure that you're gonna want to wear this disguise.
Looks like someone's been playing too much Assassin's Creed. This is not a cosplay event.
It's still more subtle than the jokes in Serious Sam, where they make fun of Duke Nukem constantly. As they kept pumping out games, the new Duke Nukem was nowhere to be found and was stuck in development hell. Now, each Serious Sam got more creative with the insults, starting with a simple,
"He will come when it is done, boy,"
to Duke Nukem's skeleton tied to a tree with a rocket up his butt.
You've been hanging here like forever.
Now, of course, they had to return the favor, so when the anniversary edition of Duke Nukem 3D came out, they added a secret area that could only be found with cheats. Once you land here, you'll see a picture of Sam bleeding to death as you get an achievement for finding it.
Why so serious, Sam?
And while we're on the topic of unforgettable characters, Leon and Chris from Resident Evil are definitely high on the list. That's why it's easy to recognize these seemingly random NPCs in Dying Light 2. You can find Leon bleeding to death on the ground, and that's when a zombie wearing a similar uniform starts attacking you. Once you loot the body, you'll discover that this was Chris Redfield, and I think the devs are trying to say that these dudes suck at fighting zombies. Now, Asterix and Obelix isn't the most well-known game, but it uses that to make fun of popular titles with no consequences. Take this enemy for example. He reveals himself from the bushes, and it's pretty obvious that they just designed the goofiest evil Mario of all time. He even has a full-on entrance cutscene, and if you're wondering what's on his back, it's inspired by an outfit from Super Mario Sunshine, just 10 times more ridiculous. But a game that pulled absolutely no punches is Driver 3. As you explore the open world, it turns out you can find an NPC named Timmy Vermicelli. Not only is this a type of pasta, but it's making fun of Tommy Vercetti from GTA Vice City. The name's a super easy jab, but the best roast is the huge inflatable armbands. As fans of Vice City will know, Tommy can't swim and drowns immediately. And another rivalry in gaming was a little less known about, but equally enjoyable. I'm of course talking about the Battle of Zombie games, more specifically Left 4 Dead vs. Dead Rising. With the release of Valve's sequel, they wanted to point out how their world was way more intense. So you can find a note on the wall left by Frank West claiming that he can't make it because the zombies are too fast. The devs are basically saying, hey, you can be a powerful journalist in your game, but you wouldn't last a second in ours. A way less obvious secret is an Amazing Frog, an indie game from 2014 that's full of references. One of my favorites is Hiding in the Sewers, where you'll come across a door with the letters LOL on it. Now this one is subtle, but it's definitely poking fun at Fallout's Vault 101. Still not as blatant as the target of Internet Cafe Simulator. Over by the dumpsters, people found a dead astronaut, and if you somehow didn't figure out what game they're calling trash, just hit the report button. Amogus. And we talked about Driver having a Vice City roast, but it turns out Rockstar returned the favor. In GTA 3, you have to kill a strangely animated undercover cop who's more or less useless out of his car. This was of course making fun of Driver's undercover cop named Tanner, who has weird walking animations and wasn't able to leave his car the way you could in GTA. And yeah, they even copied his goofy run. But if it still wasn't obvious enough, the icing on the cake was the mission name, which was Two-Face Tanner.
And that was a bunch of video game roasts. Thank you, Sammy, for the help. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on T5G.